We're getting off to a little bit of a late start, but we're about to start right now. So, Todd?
All right, we're going to start by singing Spirit of Life, number 123. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you so much, Todd, for leading us in our music today. I want to start, as always, by welcoming all of you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or, as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. I want to again welcome each and every one of you. Great to have all of you here, those of you who are in the room with us this morning for our early service, as well as the many of you who are live streaming with us and even Zooming with us this morning. It's great to have all of you here as well. So, as always, welcome to all that you come with, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are. We're glad to have you. And a special welcome to Dan Lane, who is a guest musician today. Great to have you. Looking forward to hearing you during our service as well today. Thanks so much for being here. And also a couple other guests I'll introduce momentarily. A couple of quick announcements from me. There is an event at the Spokane Public Library. It's prepared an exhibition on nuclear bomb making at the Hanford plant and its toxic legacy, which is going to happen on September 20th. It's going to include a panel. This is happening at the Central Library, and it's featuring fiction and nonfiction authors who have written about Hanford, including our own Karen Dorn-Still, who, along with Bill Houff and other members of our congregation at the time, Bill, of course, was the minister, were directly responsible for making the public aware of this very tragic situation. So that's happening next Saturday, 3 to 4:30, again at the Spokane Central Library. For some of you that may overlap, but want to also remind you that Gordon Larson's Celebration of Life will be here next Saturday, the 20th as well, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I want to welcome I know I'm going to mess up your actual name, Kasahun Kabid. Get it correct? But I can just call you Cass. That's what I call my daughter, but she spells her name with a C. But that'll help me a lot. So. He is a professor of anthropology at Eastern Washington University, and is originally from Sandafa, Ethiopia, and is founder of Libraries for Ethiopia Foundation. Do you guys sometimes call it the Life Foundation? Is that the acronym? Do you? Yeah. So LI and then FEF. So I'll refer to it as the Life Foundation as well. I like that. And this is what we're going to be hearing a lot about today, and primarily the fact that books are so rare and scarce for this particular part of the world, and what we can do to help, and all about the Life Foundation. And Kevin Decker is also here. We'll be hearing from him. He's on the board of the Life Foundation and a professor of philosophy at EWU, and of course an old member and friend of our congregation. I think you were probably here more often when your kids were young, but it's great to have you back with us, and look forward to talking back and forth a little bit today to find out about this wonderful thing that you guys are up to, and why it's so necessary, and how we can help. Along with that, another reminder that next Friday, or I should say this Friday, September 19th at 6 p.m. here at the church, we're going to be hosting an Ethiopian dinner as a fundraiser for the Life Foundation. It's $25 a plate, which anyone who buys food at any restaurant knows today is a real bargain. So please put that on your calendar if you can make it. We'd love to have you next Friday for that as well. And then our special collection on the third Sunday of the month, the 26th, which will be the following Sunday, will be on behalf of the Life Foundation as well. So lots of opportunities to hear and help about with this very special project. Okay, with that said, I'm going to invite Lynn forward for some additional announcements before we get deeply into our service this morning.
I'll be brief so we can get this party started. I do want to invite you, though, I want to make sure that you, before you leave from the first service, that you do take a moment to peruse our tables in the back. We are starting to move forward with some ideas about fundraising for our church, and they are all laid out there on documents. So if you have a particular interest, whether it's painting or literacy or music events or anything, maybe you have a creative idea of your own, there is a document back there for you to write that down. We would love to have help and assistance in coming up with assistance at these events that we're planning and hoping to plan, and also coming up with some other ideas. There are 4 fundraisers actually going on as we speak, so let me just bring those to your attention. One is the honey raffle that we started last week, and if you remember, and if you did your math practice, we are raising money to pay our honeybees a fair wage. So this is a $13.5 million jar of honey based on paying them fair wages for their lifetime. So the math is all laid out for you. And raffle tickets are being sold. You can have this jar of honey for $5 for a raffle ticket. $20 will get you 5 raffle tickets, and $50 will get you a baker's dozen, 13. So this will be in the back of the room. We will be doing a drawing for this honey next week. Although I told you last week that we would be doing that at the potluck. Potlucks are actually not starting until October, but we're going to draw for this honey next week anyway. There's also 3 other fundraisers briefly. Sponsor a song for a $100 donation. You can ask Jackie to play a song of your choice donation. You got to give them about 2 weeks notice to practice that up and get the music. Our real change bucket is back there. So if you have some quarters and dimes and nickels rolling around in your purse or pockets, feel free to just drop it in there and we'll take care of that for you. And then, of course, the Maker's Market is there, so get your fresh bread before you leave today. It's still warm from the oven. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. And why don't we go ahead and take a couple of minutes anyway to greet one another this morning, as is also our custom, which means because we have a small crowd first service, you have to get up and get a few of your extra steps in this morning. So feel free to do that now. right, you see what I started? Looks like you guys are anxious to start visiting today, but we are going to go ahead and go through our service just for the heck of it. Beginning with our chalice lighting. The chalice is the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
Our opening reflection this morning is a poem entitled, "Because of Libraries, We Can Say These Things," by Naomi Shihab Nye. She is holding the book close to her body, carrying it home on the cracked sidewalk, down the tangled hill. If a dog runs at her again, she will use the book as a shield. She looked hard among the long lines of books to find this one. When they start talking about money, when the day contains such long and hot places, she will go inside. An orange bed is waiting. Story without corners. She will have 2 families. They will eat at different hours. She is carrying a book past the fire station and the 5 and dime. What this town has not given her, the book will provide. A sheep, a wilderness of new solutions. The book has already lived through its troubles. The book has a calm cover, a straight spine. When the step returns to itself as the best place for sitting, and the old men up and down the street are latching their clippers, she will not be alone. She will have a book to open and open and open. Her life starts here.
Please rise as you are willing and able and sing with us, "We Shall Overcome," number 169. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace someday.
Right, we're now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. And my goodness, what a week it's been. I'll start with a candle for all of you here, the people that are part of our church community, as well as our friends and family, and all that, of course, circles outward, ripples outward towards the world. The uncertainty of what is going on in our country and what will become of our country is something that all of us feel deeply and worry about and wonder about. And there's not much we can do about it but ride this moment in history. I'm not saying there's not anything that we can do about it, but it's pretty overwhelming. So I just want to, without getting into all the instances of bizarre, illiberal, anti-American behavior coming from our government and our society, just kindle that candle for all of that, the weight of the emotions and the worry that a lot of you are feeling this morning. And want to continue to kindle a candle as we have been for far too long on behalf of the people of Ukraine, Russia, that region of the world caught up in the violence and war there, the Palestinian people, Israel, other parts of that region that are caught up in the violence there. And we've added to our list the people of Darfur and South Sudan who are suffering from war and ethically driven violence and displacement and famine and starvation there. And of course, we could go on. There's lots of misery in the world, so we certainly keep everyone in our hearts. And a special candle on behalf of the many immigrants in our country, whether they're here legally or illegally, who are living in what is really a state of terror right now about being in this country. So there's a lot of concern and care in our candles, more than we like to have to bring up each Sunday, but that's what they're for. So we are going to take a usual moment of silence on behalf of others you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Here at the meeting of the rivers, the midnight current flows, it's flooding the streets. The desert holding all our secrets of old plutonium, now floating debris. And it's getting harder to breathe. The dust is choking me. Take one good last gasp. The Tri-Cities disease. What's that you say she's not a giver? Well, old Columbia don't owe you a thing. Her waters irrigate the sinner, but who can blame a stone for learning to sink? They say it never hurts to ask, but they don't know the half. Please spare me my future. You already have my past. Oh, now I sleep with the fishes, 'cause they're my only friends. Chandelier primatoras up the river bend. A truly neutral body is colder and wetter than any body of water would ever condescend. Oh, dig a little hole at the bottom of a pond, sending postcards to all our fishy friends, and float on.
Thank you, Dan. What a singular talent. Where have you been hiding? Oh, just 2024. Okay. All right. Well, my goodness. Well, you're welcome to come out of your shell here anytime. Yeah. Stephanie's actually scheduled to do the story for all ages today, but she's just going to come for the second service because Max is home not feeling well. But since we're talking, the whole service is kind of a children's moment in a sense, right? Because this is what this is about today is making sure that no children anywhere ultimately are without the opportunities to read. So I thought I'd share just a little bit about my reading history. I was not a reader as a child. I didn't start reading until I went to college and had to read, right? And I would say that I'm a very strange, my mind works a very strange way. People have to explain things to me, right? It doesn't, sometimes showing me doesn't work. I have to understand the logic of something. So I had learned when I was in, second, third grade, they started teaching me the sounds that letters make. And then the way our teachers did it back then was they'd have everyone open a book and they would go around and you'd take turns reading a section of whatever we were reading. I couldn't read. And my teacher finally sent me to a special education class. I think it was third grade. I was the only child there who English was my native language. Okay? And somehow this teacher, the special ed teacher, explained to me that the letters make sounds that are part of the word. And when you say all the sounds together, it makes the word. I said, oh. So then I could read. She sent me back to class a week later, said he doesn't need to be here, he can read, right? So I think the first, now I didn't like reading because it was such a traumatic experience, being embarrassed every day of my school life because I didn't know what the kids were doing. I think my mom had picked up, she was a reader, and she was reading a book called The Amityville Horror. And I read that, scared the hell out of me, but I could not put that book down. That's the first book I ever read, and it was probably a long time before I read another one, as you might understand. So not only is it important for kids to have books, but it's also important that they know how to read, and that they learn how to read in a way that, respects their particular kinds of intelligence, types of intelligence, and also that they have access to books that are perhaps age appropriate. So that is my story. But what I would say is that gave me the tools I needed for when I wanted to begin to read and understand the world through that medium, that I was able to do so. And fortunately, my mind unlocked at that point. So, yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's actually a very similar story to Robert, my husband's story, almost exactly. And then he grew up to become a librarian. Go figure. As we move into a time of meditation, I invite you to find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a few deeper breaths and reflect on this quote from young adult novelist Doug Wilhelm. A library is a house of hope. It's a place where we all, whatever our situation, can feed our ideas and develop our dreams.
Let's all pretend we're most qualified to rattle off opinions on the best that the cinema has offered up and provide a diagnosis based on all we've watched from before. 1922 to 2025. Oh, yeah, 'cause we all know something they don't know. And if I put it in a song, then they'll circulate it on the radio and swiftly crown me the king of all the underground, and every ratty magazine retroactively excised. Oh, let's all pretend our mothers never died. No, they'll continue for all time and form a considerable voting bloc and provide a certain wisdom that we all mistook for the future we assumed would just magically arrive. Oh yeah, 'cause they all know something we don't know. And if they sign it into law, then we'll breathe free of all the oil fires and all the bloodshed that was born of man's desires. Will recede into fairy tales about the great decline. Oh, falling from the sky, a chance to save your life. The viper bites at the heels of the unsuspecting child. Yeah, you learn to run and hide. Oh, let's all pretend our names are really ours, not shared by several thousand, and our essential qualities exempt us from the anonymity of just plain non-existence. The singularity recognizes you and I. Oh, 'cause they all know something we don't know. This little patch of earth is mine, not simply walls that we've erected to display a technique that we call three-point perspective, a place to hang the books about the theory of our minds. Oh, voices from on high are begging you to cry, and the Big Dipper, he is pouring out for the faithful and the lost. Confusion has its cost. Don't you refuse this paradise. Yeah, come on, the water's fine.
Dan, thank you. Not only are you a talented singer and musician, but a poet. Those were both original pieces, if you didn't notice, so wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to ask Cass and Kevin to come up and join me up here at the pulpit, if you will. Yeah. Kevin, you coming? You're going to hand those out? Well, I wanted to ask you a question right off the bat. Okay. and then you can go hand those out. Now, let's see, I want to make sure this mic is working. Would that be all right, Todd? If I kind of stand off to the side and let them use the pulpit mic? Okay, check. Good. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, we're going to definitely talk about the Libraries for Ethiopia Foundation, but I want to ease into it so we get to know you guys just a little bit first. And so, Kevin, as my fellow philosopher, I want to ask you about a little brief part of your reading journey and when books became important to you. So just step up to the mic.
I'm really glad he asked this. This is great. When Cass asked me to be part of life, we'll use that. Yeah? I started thinking, not all triangles are bad. Triangular trade, bad. Bermuda Triangle, pretty bad. But there is a triangle of libraries in St. Louis, Missouri, where I grew up. Booter Library, Carondelet Library, which was a Carnegie library, and Long School Library. And I would bike to these three libraries. I think the farthest one was probably about 10 miles. The closest one was about 5 miles. And when I was not happy with the selection at one library, I would bike to the next. These were all St. Louis public libraries. I told Cass I owe those librarians and those libraries so much for the sort of person that I am today and what I value. A lot of things I think we value, all of us here, that I could not say no. And so, yeah, I'm quite the bibliophile, and those three libraries are the cause. So,
Thank you. They turned you into a philosopher, so you got to be careful what you read.
Summer Reading Club did that, I think.
Summer Reading Club. Yeah. That's wonderful. All right, Cash, come forward if you will. You have an even more interesting story because you didn't grow up around books in a place where there were books, and I'd love to hear you say just a little bit more about that, and particularly, a story of being intimidated because you were responsible whenever you read a book for keeping the community property safe. So that's a lot of scarcity.
Yes, true. Hello, thank you so much for inviting me. Kevin was talking about 3 libraries. I don't think I remember I had one, except textbooks. And even those textbooks were not readily available. So maybe 1 or 2 in the school. And one time, the teacher liked me. And he said, hey, you can take this textbook home and read it. And I was so happy. I felt trusted. I felt liked. Oh, this thing is really good. I took it home and started reading it. And my mom gave me coffee to read. Some kind of like weak coffee. Not, Ethiopians love coffee. As you guys, maybe know, that coffee originated from Ethiopia. And I was in the middle of reading it. I spilled coffee on my book. And that was the most traumatic thing that happened to me. And then, of course, that gave me a chance. Okay, now I'm going to quit going to school. Because it's always like, should I go to school? Should I not go to school? So I told my mom, school is on recess. Of course, my mom believed me for a few days. And then finally she saw village kids going to school, and then is that your only school that's on recess? And she found out what happened, and then she told me I should go face it. And I really felt terrible. I said, how am I going to walk to school? How am I going to go tell my teacher? Because I'm not going to be trusted. She's going to kick me out of school. And it's a long story, and then she said, I went, faced it, and she was so disappointed but understanding. And I said, you have to pay for it, and where will I get the money to pay for it? And I had to sell eggs and wait on the market, on the street to pay for the book. And I paid for the book. That was my first debt. My first debt was to pay for, damage to the book. And recently, I was watching a movie with my kids. Now we have books everywhere, in the bathroom, under the bed, everywhere, under the car, the car seat. I'm like, I find it. Oh God, this book, you haven't returned it. So we were watching this movie, and there's a part where it says, asking him, when you grow up without something, you spend too much time, a lot of time thinking about it. I spent without something that my kids are enjoying, and I said, it's been 20 years, I haven't done anything. I need to be able to, because I went to school for free. Even if the school was not, very resourceful, school, it was just available. So that's how my reading story is the most traumatic story. But now I have plenty of books. I'm not sure if I'm a good reader, though. Yeah.
So it's a story of real scarcity, and
Yeah,
of course, coming to a country where books are abundance.
Yeah.
But before we get to Libraries for Ethiopia Foundation, just a little bit about your journey. How did you go from that child who had a real scarcity of books to where you were terrified of damaging and had to be, work to pay for damaging a book, to becoming a college professor?
I think one of the things I tell my kids is you have to have someone who believes in you. It doesn't have to be 10 people, just one person who believes in you. And there's this teacher who really believed in me. I think he can do it. He was giving me exercise books, pencils. My sister also supported me. And then at one point, I think a Swedish organization came and built a high school. It would have been impossible to go to high school. High school was about 130 kilometers. That would be like about in miles. It would have been impossible to go to school, right? So they built this beautiful, high school in this town around I remember it was in 1979. I was the first freshman in that high school, which really helped me to be here. So the exact same thing I'm trying to do right now, it's almost like that's what helped me to get to, of course, college was, as I mentioned, free. Mm-hmm. So the government was hey, if you finish high school and then get a passing grade, we will give you a place to live and food to eat. It was free food, 3 meals a day, and then a place to sleep and free education. That was, Ethiopia, where I grew up. So it was a bunch of things that came together and helped me to get here.
And you do not come from a small community. We're looking at 150,000 people. So we're talking about thousands of people without access to book and even some education scarcity.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Yes.
So you traveled back home to visit, and there came up a question of can you help bring books to your community?
Yeah.
That was the beginnings of Libraries for Ethiopia Foundation. So tell us a little bit more about how it got started, why it got started, and what you're doing to help alleviate that situation, and I guess even what you have done before you get to how we can help.
Yeah. The one thing I went back after about 9 years. Do they say you can't go home twice? But I went home. I think population size doubled, tripled. We were 18 students at high school. My high school graduate, the seniors were 18 students. Now there are about 24,000 students in that area. I went to the education bureau, 24,000 students. And one of the strange things I did was I went, to school and asked the kids, what books they read. Remember, the coffee spill? So when you grow up without something, you keep, So I went and asked them, what did you read this summer? And they found it really strange question. What are you talking about? The books are extremely limited. They have textbooks, but reading for fun. it's not there. So we're thinking about how do you, and in fact, as you can see the statistics here, in Ethiopia, 90% of children can't read by age 10. That's really makes me sad. And I asked them, what should we do to reverse this? And they said, hey, you can just, library is the most effective, cost-effective thing to do. Like, it's the most democratic place, to be honest. Anyone, can come and read and go home. That was not there. And then we thought about, okay, let's establish, maybe plant a public library in that community so that they can come and read. And I went to the mayor.
And the community, is it still 150,000? Or is it them? So more than that now?
Yes.
And no library, no public library, but what you're putting together?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's not even that far from the capital city. You would be surprised. It's about 45 kilometers. I use about like 30 miles north of the capital. Right? So there are a lot of schools, but no library. It's not even a library, just a reading center. A library might give the image of like, oh, this fancy place, but a place to read. To just, I try to call it, like, I'm kind of minimalist, a reading space. A safe place where people can go and read.
Bring your own book?
Oh, maybe, yes. Bring your own book. We can provide you with chairs and tables, and maybe internet connection, so that you can get connected, to the rest of the world. So my dream was, of course, to build a reading space, right? So I went to the mayor and say, hey, give me a piece of land. I'm thinking about bringing a library to the village, and he gave me a space. And are you sure you're going to build a library? And of course, I was humbled. I was like sharing this, trying to raise funds, and that didn't really work. And then someone told me, you have to start small. There's no way that you can raise that much money to build a library. And the second time I went and asked them, okay, you know what, that thing didn't work. Can I get an empty building or something, that needs? And then he again gave me space. I wish I could show the image. Actually, it's in here. He gave me this space, and now we raised about $5,000. With $5,000, we really renovated. It went a long way. Like, the place was renovated. We made it really great. It's a wonderful space to read, but empty.
But empty.
Yeah, but empty. That's the most expensive part, to get chairs, tables, books, shelves to make it a reading space. So that's where we are right now. Like, when I share people, like, hey,
well, it's
$5,000. Look what we did.
Well, that's good to know that our money goes a lot farther in
Yes.
Ethiopia than it does here. So a little bit can mean a lot. What about books that are written for, particularly in the language of the children there? Is that also a hardship or scarcity? How does that happen?
It's the most scarce thing. The kids' books are the only thing you can really find in most cases are textbooks. That the government is really focused on providing textbooks. But the kids' books are the foundation. If the people don't know how to read, how are they going to read a textbook, which is very much technical? And so I met this person who really doing this, publishing books, kids' books in Ethiopian languages. While I was just searching the web, we met, and then she really publishes. She's doing a marvelous job, bilingual books based in Seattle, and they have about 130 books in different Ethiopian languages. And then she said, hey, if you find a reading space, I'll give you books, one book for $4. If you just, that's why I have like $4 buys a Ready, Set, Go book through our partner. So that would be available there, publishing it in Ethiopian languages, and also in English. So that would be, it's the most affordable thing to do. But we need a space, we need shelf, we need chair, and then a table where they can come and read. Right.
So at this point, just to back up, you've made a lot of progress. You have a space.
Yeah.
You've been renovating it. You still have lots of need in
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
shelving and chairs and that sort of thing, so
Yeah.
you need to furnish it as a library. And then still need lots of books, preferably in languages that the kids
Can
can read.
understand, yeah. That's exactly where we are right now. I think a lot of people were like helping now. Now starting small helped. Instead of thinking like a grand library from the ground up, now people see, yes, now that we have a four-corner, beautifully renovated space. All it needs now is minimal chairs and tables, if possible, books, luxurious, maybe an internet connection, or maybe computers. So like step by step, right?
Well, I'm quite sure that this is one of those perhaps rarer than they should be situations where if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely this is going to work once it is in place and the books are in place. So Kevin, I'm going to ask you another question because you got involved with this. You at some point said, hey, we need to reach out to the Unitarian Church and see if they'd be interested in helping, hosting, doing something. Knowing what you do about Unitarianism, what is your faith in us that made you think that we would be a good audience for this?
I'm gonna use that. It's good that we're about the same height because we don't need to adjust the mic. We had previously done a fundraising dinner, as Dr. Ekloff knows, at St. Stephen's. And of course, UUs are like, if Episcopalians can do it, surely we can do it. My faith in you to be able to make Cass's, what he calls his American dream, true, is because Unitarians are inclusive, right, rather than being exclusive. What reason do you have for bringing books to these children? What reason do you have for hooking them up to the World Wide Web so that they can broaden their horizons as well as share their own culture with people outside of Ethiopia? It may be deeply spiritual. You may be a secularist like me and want to bring democracy and equality to a place where maybe it doesn't exist. All of these are affirmed. All of these you can affirm, I think. So it's broad and deep, Todd. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a very, very special answer. So I would ask, now have you traveled there? Have you been?
I have
you
not.
have not yet. Okay.
No, yes.
I'm-
He says he'll take me.
Yeah, good. Well,
would be
you'll
good.
come back and report on that once that happens. I'm curious if you have, in what minimal progress you've been able to make at this point. Do you have any anecdotes about children you've bumped into there that you've given a book to, that have read books that you through this process, and how it might be impacting their lives? So just step up here to the mic.
Yes, I do. I actually have a lot of pictures and stories. Their first book. Do you guys remember the one book that you read over and over? Or your first book? I think...
Amityville Horror.
Yeah. My kids says green eggs and ham. We almost read it over and over. We can remember it, the whole thing from page to page, cover to cover. But yes, I gave them books, and then they said, I'm going to take it. They couldn't believe that I was telling them, hey, you can take it home. You don't have to pay me. It's going to be your first book. And I can see the smile on their face. And I say to myself, I think I paid my debt. Remember when I spilled coffee on a book? Now I said, hey, you can spill coffee on it for all it matters. Just don't forget to read it. But now you have your own book. So my dream is, in addition to a library, like owning a book is the most powerful thing. I think they owned a few of them. We distributed about 700 books from this Open Art Big Dream books that she donated to me, and I gave it to the kids, and then they were able to have their own book.
You're underselling it.
Yeah.
He's got pictures where he's being swarmed by kids with huge grins on their faces. They're literally climbing up his shoulder
Books,
to get a copy of
Yeah.
them. And it's the greatest picture ever.
Yeah.
Well, we've got those pictures. We'll get them up for our second service. But now, real quickly, because we'll start to wrap up here. And it's okay. You've not gone as long as I usually do. So, but we've already talked about a fundraiser coming up Friday and taking up a special collection and being prepared as a congregation to be able to contribute what we can then. What type of support are you most in need from us? And are there other additional types of support in addition to the financial resources you're looking for?
Yeah. I think someone recently said, hey, I have books for you. Would you like to take it to Ethiopia? And I said, yes, I'd love to take it, but it's really very expensive to send books from Spokane to Ethiopia. Just the amount of money that you're going, remember when you really travel, they weigh you bags. And they charge you about $150 or something like $150 would divide that by 4, buy a lot of books. I don't think you can fit that many books in one bag. So the short story, it's mostly financial because I want to source it locally. It also supports the local economy, right? If the money is. Yes, I would have loved to take books from here because a lot of books here, but it's really, really expensive to do that. So the other one is how do we make it more sustainable? Because it's limitless. Like once you establish, I was already getting an email from another person in Ethiopia. When are you going to come to our area? I'm like, at the moment, I'm struggling to establish one. So as soon as this gets opened, maybe the next thing. So it's mostly, I would be honest, financial, so that we can get it.
Great. So this looks like it's going to be an ongoing mission.
Yes.
To hopefully be able to do the same thing throughout
sure.
Ethiopia, and
Yes.
maybe even other places eventually. So
yeah.
there will always be need for financial support
Yeah.
for this cause.
Yes. The one thing I want, most people can you guess how many people live in Ethiopia? It's almost 120 million. There are only 249 access points, library access points, in the entire country. That is less than probably the number of libraries in the state of Washington.
Puts it in perspective. Well,
Yeah.
listen, I want to thank you both, firstly, for bringing what you're doing to our attention and believing in us enough, understanding what we're about enough, to understand that this is something we would want to know about here in our community and something that we want to be able to help with in our community, and for explaining the need so wonderfully. But I also want to thank both of you and everybody involved with the Life Foundation, I'm calling it, because that's what you're doing. You're transforming lives. You're giving meaning to lives. You're giving possibility to lives. But it's a real inspiration. I mean, I think fundamentally this community is incredibly honored that you are here, and grateful for what you're representing of the goodness and greatness in humanity and the possibility of making a real difference. So we are humbled by your presence here. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
All right, we will have a bit of our closing song here. I think it's changed. Todd's going to point us in another direction. You want?
Yeah, we've been singing a lot of Blue Boat Home, so we're going to change it up here a little bit. If you could join me on Number 18, What Wondrous Love. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, oh my soul. Friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
Our benediction today is from Andrew Carnegie's address at the dedication of a library in Fairfield, Iowa, 1896. A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert. Amen, blessed be, salam alaikum, and shalom.
Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom.